Alright, so I just talked about my rabbit system, my current rabbit system, the kinds of feeds that we like to use, the way we like to save money with them. But the rabbits are very much in line with the garden. I wouldn't have one without the other. And so today we're going to talk about herbs, which is what I start earliest in the year because they don't get huge, but they smell good. Even now, I can smell them as I move the flat back and forth. I'm ready to transplant these guys. This is my favorite potting soil. It's black gold. Every time I use it, I have really great results, and every time I try to be a little cheaper, or if I can't find it and I go with like Miracle Grow or something, the results are not the same. Right. For bigger pots, I'm going to try these out because I do like these that will decompose so that I don't have more plastic to deal with. There's nothing wrong with the plastic as long as you treat them well. They'll last for many, many years. But they didn't have the bigger cells in at the Ace Hardware that I have next door, and so I went with these because they were the biggest container that I could find. I'm also saving sour cream containers and milk jugs to plant into when I have them here, but for now I just needed to be able to get them moving. Just so you know, the herbs will not be the things that I'm planting in the hotbed first. In the hotbed, what I'll be putting in first is things like snow peas or Swiss chard or spinach. The temperatures here go up and down, and with the extra heat of the hotbed, I want to be able to keep things uncovered. And it's all a big experiment when you go to a new place. It's pretty predictable when you're in your own garden, but in a new place, thank you. In a new place, you have to figure out what your predators are. I'm a little bit concerned about keeping a hotbed without keeping ducks to keep weeds down, but we do have permission to get ducks, so we might go ahead and do that. My one concern is that if I do get ducks and I set them up to be there at the base of the hotbed, my one concern is predators, and the other concern is that if we do decide to move over into the other paddock, everything I do to improve this one is going to be for naught, and I'll have to redo it. So that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to put a little bit of soil in the bottom, not a huge amount. Just that much. Because really all I'm doing is separating out the multiples. Can I have a pencil?
Yes, I got one.
I'm separating out the multiples. I always plant in multiples, and so really all they need is to not be in with so many other plants.
Need help?
No, I'm just trying to think. This one, my little rosemary, would like to be in another pot right now because she would like to have dry feet. And what she has right now is wet feet because she's in with some other plants that like to have wet feet. And a rosemary is more of like a desert herb, an arid herb. So we're going to give her a little bit of a break, get her out of there. Same thing for sage. They like to be watered, but they don't like to be overwatered. Nope. And these have actually set up a really nice root system. They all look really good. And I did water them really good before transplanting them, so they don't have to water them after I transplant them. I want them to kind of dry out a little bit. Now, I do grow most of my plants in Idaho. I do have a big south-facing window, and so I don't even use a light back home in Idaho. And I have a window here that is also facing south. I believe it's facing south. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's facing south. And thank you.
But I think you want to remind me. Do you want me to put dirt in all of them for you?
No, it's good. And so I kind of want to separate this one out. Dang it, I should have put that plastic. I had a plastic garbage sack underneath me on my kitchen table, but I decided to move over here because the light was better, and now I've got water on my computer table.
I'll get our towel.
Thank you, honey. Oh, the hazards of filming anything farmish. I don't think I can save it, honey. I don't think I can save it. It's going to be dirty no matter what I do. I should have just taken better care to cover it before. All right,
Here.
so this guy was pushed up underneath the light. He's still very healthy, but he did get a crooked neck right there. So hopefully he will stand up straight again once he's in a new spot. And you can actually be much more firm with seedlings than you would think. You don't want to be, you don't have to worry about them being too delicate to handle, which maybe sounds really surprising because they are babies and they are delicate. But usually, as long as their roots aren't exposed and they still have some roots left, they're very hardy. All right, so I'm going to add some soil in here to see if I can soak up some of that bottom water that I was using. So this is really, really good soil. This other stuff that I had was Miracle-Gro, and it had big old chunks of wood in it. And I just had so many things that never germinated. Or they germinated and they damped off because the soil was just not good. This does have tiny, tiny, tiny little bits of, let's see if I can even find some. But they're ground up. They're ground up, and that's not the majority of what's in the soil. It's not just wood bits. And when I saw that a lot of things were not germinating, I replanted them. And so much of this tray that you see is actually from reseeded, from having been reseeded. And I want to make sure that I get enough pressure on it that it's not drying out, and so that it's going to grow in the direction I want it to. So I'm going to make it upright. The one thing that you can't do, you don't want to leave dirt on their leaves. That will kill them. like a turnip, but it grows above ground. Back home, it has no pests, so I love it. I love everything to do with Asian greens and cabbage and things like that. So I'm gonna do some cabbage. And then for Mary's Heirloom, I'm gonna do some Roman chamomile. A lot of the herbs that came up the best were from Mary's Heirloom. I was really happy with their germination rate. So the things that didn't come up the way I wanted them to, I'm gonna plant them in again. I do love bok choy. I've tried it from Michigan Gardener and I was really happy with it, but I'm gonna try it from Mary's Heirloom. Again, they're both affiliates. If you buy from them, we get a very tiny percentage of that seed packet sale. But they're who I order my seeds from anyway, so mostly it just goes back into paying for more seeds. All right, so this one is the bok choy. And I like to plant a lot. I like to plant a lot. And then I will just repot them when they are seedlings. Let's see. Calendula. I do want to do calendula, but I think they're supposed to be direct sowed. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to start the calendula, but I do want to plant some because it will keep pests away. My favorite kind of basil is Tulsi Kapoor. And my last batch did really, really well, but then I watered it and the water killed all of it. These are very predictable producers and they do really, really well here outside. So if I were to buy these as starts instead of growing them myself, I would be having the possibility of bringing in pests, and it would also cost me like $6 for this one little four place square. So I really love this. The other thing is, because I've been taking care of them, I'm familiar with what they need, what they want, and if something needs to change. So I'm giving myself that head start in knowing how they need to be taken care of. Okay, this one is going to be lemon balm, and hopefully it'll come up this time. It didn't come up last time, and I'm going to be a lot more careful with watering, how I water it. But we're going to put all of them in and see how it does. Just because I'm that crazy lady that does that. Barely covered the tiny seeds, so we're going to go in here and barely cover the tiny seeds. Barely, 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 barely.
Life is like a bear.
Life is like a bear. All right, so then we have Roman chamomile. And this one needs to be sown on the surface, so we will not put any soil over the top of it. And I have several packets of this, so once again, I might just use the whole darn thing. And be aware that some of these herbs, if you let them get out of control in an area like this, they will take over because they self-seed. And I believe that it's German chamomile that is really bad and about spreading, not Russian chamomile. So I'll have to look into that for a bit. All right, so these ones are still trying to grow, so I'm going to leave them. So that means I need this and these and this to fill back in, because that one's going to be cabbage. So I have something here. I don't want those. Where's the basil? Okay, except it's going to be Tulsi Kapoor, but at least I have some kind of label to say, hey, there's something planted here. I'm going to put something here. That one's planted, even though they're incorrect. It's not actually what they are. Parsley is really good for all livestock. All livestock like parsley.
Livestock.
livestock. So I'm going to do some more parsley. And you're supposed to soak that, by the way, but I didn't. The other thing I want to plant is rosemary. So I'm going to plant some rosemary in there. And I'm going to read it really quick. And that I was also supposed to soak first, but I didn't, because I'm not that kind of gardener, unfortunately. I should be that kind of gardener. But that one has also been planted now. And the other thing I'm going to plant really quick is onion seeds. And I plant in a ton of onion seeds. And these came from a friend who was so kind and labeled them. And I have been using these seeds for a couple years now. They came from his own garden. I wanted to do the mustard seeds too, but I didn't get to it. So onion seeds, you can plant them very, very, very thickly. They transplant out well and are easy to separate from each other. So I can put them in really, 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 really thick. In fact, they seem to do better when planted really, 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 really thick. Okay, so for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and put things up in my window. We have a cool enough light today because it has, the clouds are out there covering the sun, that I can just put everything in the window. I'm gonna take the taller ones now and put them directly in the window. They will not have the extra light from the lamp to help them, but they will be just fine. We'll just make sure to turn the tray every day. If you'd like to try some really great seeds and also help our channel, make sure to go check out Mary's Heirloom Seeds and also Am I Gardener. We like both of them a lot, and I really need to go order some more Swiss chard and some other Asian greens because I see that I have used all my Swiss chard. I love to plant Swiss chard. It is so exuberant about growing no matter where it is. And so that's what I will be purchasing in my next order, which is probably going to be today. You just unless you have a garden and you're harvesting your own seeds, you're always going to be purchasing them. If you do want to save your own seeds, both Am I Gardener and Mary's Heirloom Seeds will go to seed and breed true to themselves as long as you're not planting another variety that they can pollinate with. So check the labeling on that. I think they both have information on their websites about how to save your own seeds, and I would highly recommend you go check that out. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later. I'm seeing that my fan where is it? I'm seeing that my fan that dries out our rabbit treats is actually going to be too harsh on these plants, so I need to find a way to cover them and also to reflect light back at them from this side. So I probably need to go up and get my next tray, my next shelf out, put it on, and then allow something to drape over it and on the back to protect these. Okay, for now, that's what I've done. It is good to have a white backing behind your window because it reflects the light back at the plants. And then up at the top, we used our placemats that go on the table, and they will dry from being washed very well up there and block the breeze from the fan because no plants like continuous wind.